What's good? What's good, everybody? Welcome back
Mm.
to another episode of The Urban Platform Speaks. I got my man Clayton in here. We're going
What's up, Mike?
what's going on? What's going on?
Man, chilling.
Chilling. Yeah. That's a cool
Yeah.
background.
hmm
They getting the swimming pool ready?
Yeah, man. They've been getting it
Yeah.
ready. Some of the residents is not
That's what's
waiting for
up.
Memorial Day. They're not waiting for Memorial Day.
Yeah. Yeah.
The gate been opened up.
Oh,
People
all
been
right. That's what's up.
yeah,
That's
but
what's
it's
up.
it's cool. Yeah, I spend a lot of the
Yeah.
summer months out here meditating during the day. Yeah,
Oh, all
it's my
right.
spot.
All right.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
that's cool. So
hmm
everybody see the title. We're gonna talk about entitlement and
Mm.
entitlement do entitlement ruin kids? Will it ruin your
Mm.
kid like entitlement? Uh, so what
Hold,
do
do
you
you
think first
hold
off?
on real quick? Are you saying that entitlement
I'm
is a
sorry.
form of enabling?
No, I'm
Okay,
sorry. I meant to say enabling. Yeah, I'm sorry.
okay,
Enabling.
okay,
My
okay,
fault. Yeah,
okay.
yeah. Do enabling? Will enabling ruin your kid?
Right, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, me personally, that's a strong word to ruin, but I
yeah.
will say, I will say that it can affect a process that's happening. But you know, to me, the goal is self-reliance and and becoming self-sufficient. You know what
Mm-hmm.
I'm saying? So I think sometimes enabling can affect that process of becoming self-sufficient. But I wouldn't necessarily go with the term ruin, so to speak. But
Yeah,
yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
Well, I think like I think if you enable a kid to the point where
hmm
they are not like you know what I mean, like they don't have responsibilities and they don't have chores and stuff like that. You don't put place like restrictions on them and stuff like that. I think, in my opinion, I think it'll
hmm
hinder their maturity and their growth.
hmm
In my opinion,
Right, right. That's what
yeah,
I'm saying. So I agree with it. It can affect these things. You know what I'm
yeah,
saying? But I will say that I think at some point life is going to introduce a situation and a scenario where
hmm
individuals are going to have to come to grips with self. There's going to be nowhere else to turn.
hmm
Some people view that place like you're at a crossroads and there's nowhere else to turn to but God. I view that as the same thing. There's nowhere else to turn to but self. And I
yeah,
think in those situations, you're going to really understand, the capabilities and who you are, in its totality. So
yeah,
I definitely believe becoming self-reliant and self-sufficient is the gateway to learning self, but
yeah.
ultimately, go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, no. All right. So I'm just thinking though, but I would want my kid to like kind of like prep them and help them avoid certain situations. You know what I mean? Because sometimes
Mhm.
when like if you wait to for life to present those challenges, they might not be prepared. You know what I mean? So that's why I was saying to kind of step in there along the way
Right. And I
before things
understand
get
that
out of
point.
hand.
I understand that point. And I think it's beautiful that
Uh-huh.
parents want to shape outcomes for their children. I was
hmm
a parent that wanted to do that. But you get to an understanding where you learn that no matter how hard you try to shape outcomes,
hmm
you can't. And when you're trying to shape an outcome and you're trying to prevent certain things from happening in their lives and you're trying to prepare them, that can be a form of enabling. Because
You,
now, yes, because the main thing in order to really not enable a kid, you have to support a kid and support a person in their totality. You have to
yeah,
let them connect to who they are and what they're capable of,
yeah.
you know?
All right. So let me see. Entitled come from a mother we can lie about if we want. It's why so many young men are growing up entitled because of their mothers. I mean, Tom, yeah, you make a
I don't
good
think.
point. I think sometimes kid mothers allow that mothers probably are not, in my opinion, sometimes not as stern, especially with their sons as they are with their daughters.
Mm, mm.
What would you say to that, Plate?
Yeah. I mean, yeah. I see this. The thing about that is, we were talking a little earlier, Mike. Everyone don't react the same way to the same things.
Right.
So I kind of stay away from the idea that mothers are more this, fathers are more that. This has more of an effect than that. I kind of stay away from that. But I very much can see Tom's point, and I can
Mhm.
understand where Tom's coming from in terms of that. But I think no two people will react the same to the same thing, you know.
Yeah,
So you know what I mean? Yeah, yeah,
yeah. So without even just saying mothers,
hmm
I mean, because all right, so say sometime if you have a parent who
hmm
grew up, they grew up, or come from humble beginnings, right? And
hmm
then they give their kids a lot of things that they didn't have when they was growing up. Some people say that that's not good, to give your kid too much.
Like I said, it can affect the process. You know what
Yeah,
I'm saying? So it definitely can affect the process. And like I said, understanding like self-sufficiency and self-reliant is so much, it's nuance. It's so
yeah,
much to that. It's not just I'm going to trust you when you're doing things that conform to society and that seem safe and that I believe you can do. I think creating self-reliance in a child is trusting them and having them trust themselves in its totality. That includes the decision making, some of the desires, and the road they choose to take. Support
mm,
is a main key ingredient to helping a child become self-reliant. Not, and it's a fine line between enabling and supporting. You
mm,
understand what I'm saying? Sometimes we can enable making all the decisions for them, even
right.
telling them when they start drawing outside of the lines, so to speak, when they do things that draw outside of the lines. And then we start telling the kid, that's not realistic. You can't do that. You should do
Mm,
this. You know what I'm saying? Now you're disconnecting them from them coming into the awareness of who they are and their capabilities. Because I understand that once you know who you are, you realize that you are a power that really can't be measured. And some of the things that you want to accomplish in life, they pale in comparison to who we really are. So now
mm,
it removes all this stress and angst, and we start doing things with confidence, knowing this is just an experience and I am capable of doing this, without making it insurmountable or valuing this thing to a point where I'm stressing over it and it's creating some negative effects,
yeah.
in my life and some angst and anxiety.
So like what Tom said, like, so where does hard work come into the equation then? You know what I mean? Like should you
Mm.
introduce them to hard work early on instead of, where does that come into the equation?
Well, I don't necessarily think that hard work is going to get them to discover who they are.
Yeah.
It can, based on
Hmm.
a person's archetype. You understand what I'm saying? So
Hmm.
some people need hard work because of their archetype and their makeup, what we perceive to be hard work. So like
Hmm.
hard work for me may not be hard work for the person that's doing that work, but it just we classify it as hard work. But they may
Hmm.
need that to come into the understanding of self. But if you take a person that's an artist needs to create art to come
Right.
into the awareness of who they are. A mathematician needs to deal with math to come into the understanding of who they are. This is why you have these areas where we're inclined in. You know what
Hmm.
I'm saying? And I think that's the gateway. But I really think parents should trust the path that these kids are going to take instead of trying to shape the path.
Hmm. So all right. So with shaping the path, right?
Hmm.
So like what I mean, and so like where does that? So are you just like you just there to observe as a parent, or like offer some guidance as far as like shaping the path?
Well, each person is inclined to do what they do. So some
Hmm.
parents, so what I'm just offering is another perspective. Some parents, they can't help themselves.
Hmm.
They're going to try to shape the path. They're going to try to tell them how they can make it in this world, so to speak.
Right.
Right. So that's just a natural phenomenon in some people. But I think supporting is to safeguard, make sure you know you can help and nurture what's there as opposed to trying to get them to conform to an idea that you have. So I think
Hmm.
that's the main goal as parents is to nurture what's there, to identify what's there.
All right. So basically, it's about balance then, right? Because say
Yeah, you
like
gotta
you know
explain that to me. Mhm.
if you're nurturing your kid, like you said, with a talent or something that they might be
Mhm.
interested in, and you're going to nurture that,
Mhm.
that's good.
Mhm.
But
Mhm.
also, if they're pursuing something that you might have some experience in, then
Mhm.
that's then it'll be good for you to be able to advise them and lead them down the way, give them some advice as far as how
Mhm.
to navigate certain situations
Mhm.
that's going to come up.
Yes, that's great.
Instead,
Like I said, that's yeah. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
no, that's basically what I would.
No, yeah, and that's beautiful. But we still, when you really come to understand some things, you realize that even though I've done it before and you're doing something I did, your experience is going to be unique to you. And it's going to be
Right.
things that you're going to experience from it that I can't even give you advice on,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
So, but
Yeah.
I, like I said, it's beautiful to do that though. It's beautiful because it's out of love, you know?
Hmm. Yeah. I mean,
Right.
I know, like from my own experience, like
Hmm.
I mean, certain things that kids will experience in life, the parent won't be able to like protect them from it anyway. You know
Right.
what I mean?
Right.
Like the best you
Right.
can do as a parent is prepare them as best, you know what I mean, as best you can,
Hmm.
and advise them. But and sometimes even when you have the power to shape an outcome, it's best not to do it because you don't want to cheat that kid from that experience. So you know what I
Right.
mean. So from
Right.
that standpoint, I can
Right.
see that.
Right. Right. Absolutely. Because any kind of negating them from going through something is affecting the process of them coming into the understanding of their capability and who they are. I think that's what life is. We're here to experience ourselves subjectively and come into
Yeah,
the understanding of who we are. To me, that's the real goal. It's not even the things we're trying to accomplish. The real
yeah,
goal and that real euphoria is knowing who you are. And it's
yeah.
beyond like the names we have. It's beyond Michael Clayton. I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about
Mhm.
really knowing who we are.
Right,
Yeah.
right, right. All right.
Mm-hmm.
So Tom said, I seen my pops change a tire, fix his own brakes on his car. We went fishing, hunting,
Mm-hmm.
camping. We had road trips. I learned
Mm-hmm.
everything from my pops. His discipline and dedication to the
Yes.
family was everything. And
Yeah.
so yeah, that's and I think that what like when you think about things like that, I think that's
Mm-hmm.
just like to instill some habits, some good habits in your kids and
Mm-hmm.
require of them, not just require, but teach them some things, some life skills that they'll need along the way.
Hmm. Yeah, I think
But
that's beautiful.
yeah,
Yeah, I think that's beautiful. Mm-hmm.
yeah. And so he also says the kids are lazy because the parents are lazy too. So yeah, I think like parents can't leave they can't leave certain things to chance. I think it's good to to nurture your kids and have some type of structure and some type of order in anything they do, even if, like you said, they're going to pursue their own endeavors.
Mhm.
You
Let
know what
me
I
ask
mean?
you a question. How do you not leave it to chance? How do you take the chance out of it?
Um, well, because of your experience in life, well, you know what I mean, you'll have more experience in life than, say, like your kid. So if you see them approaching a situation and you know that this
Mhm.
situation is going to turn out, is going to have like a negative result, then you can advise the
Mhm.
kid and let the kid know, to take steps to avoid certain situations. That's, just like like people in the cabinet advise the president of the United States. It's their job to give him a different point of view. Now, the final decision is going to be theirs or his, but
Mhm.
that's what advisors are there for, and parents kind of play that same role.
Mhm. No, I just meant, I mean, I understand that, but I'm just saying, like you said, don't leave it to chance. And I don't think, me personally, I don't think anything is just by chance, but I don't understand. Just advising them still is not eliminating or guaranteeing anything. That's all I'm saying.
No, no, no,
And
no
yeah,
guarantees.
I wanted you to elaborate on that for people listening. You know what I'm saying? That share that viewpoint, like, you know what I mean? Like, because that's
Yeah,
deep. I mean, that's, you know what I mean?
no guarantees. I mean, no matter how hard you try to
Mm.
to set your kid up for a situation where they're going to win, they're going to still
Mhm.
face some adversity. But
Right.
the thing is, you want to be able to limit the adversity or avoid some pitfalls
Mhm.
if you can. Even
Right.
even with your best effort, they're
Right.
gonna still face some pitfalls.
Right. I
But
understand that. Mhm. To me, I'm just, I guess I'm so engulfed in trusting the process and understanding the process. I was actually having a conversation yesterday, and I was saying if I could go back and do it all over again, I wouldn't change one thing because of what I
mhm,
understand at this point. So I trust the process so much. Like my daughter had a situation, and she was trying to get into this IT program, and I wanted,
mhm,
where everything in me, I wanted to give her the money, but it was a
mhm,
reason why I couldn't give her the money in full. So
mhm,
it came to the crossroad where she had no other choice but to find her way. You
mhm,
understand what I'm saying? So months went past and I trusted it. I didn't lose sleep over it. I didn't feel bad because I couldn't. The first thing I said is the reason I can't because this is helping her develop.
mhm.
And
Yeah.
so months went by. She sent me an update. She said, I just want to let you know I start the program on June 25th. I did this,
Mhm.
that, and the other. You know what I'm saying? So I'm so consumed in trusting the process. I don't want to take anything away from the process,
Yeah.
but I understand. But that's why I say it's beautiful that parents want to, because that's out of
Mhm.
love. You want to protect, you don't want them to experience certain things. But I just trust the process so much that
Yeah.
they have to experience it. They have to experience it, unless they don't
Yeah.
have to. And if there's a way that you can eliminate it, that's by design as well. They wasn't supposed
Mhm.
to go through that experience. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So when you think about those kind of situations, right? So now
Hmm.
you think about I thinking about like the haves versus the have-nots. So if
Hmm.
you have one parent that can afford to send their kid to college, and then you have another parent who
Hmm.
can't afford to send their kid to college,
Hmm.
so I mean, the thing is, if you are in a position to be able to send your kid to college and your kid want to go to college,
Hmm.
I mean, I think that's now it's good if you the kind of kid that can work their way through college, but sometimes people need that extra support. Kids need that extra support.
Hmm. Hmm.
Yeah, but
Yeah, I
yeah,
was
I
just saying
see
it
that.
was a reason. The first thing I
Yeah,
thought was it's a reason that I wasn't able to. Because if I was
yeah,
able to, I would have gave that the whole thing. I wasn't able to. So what I said in my mind was it's a reason why I'm not able
Yeah,
to. But you're absolutely right. I mean, if to get in college and things like that, you support the kid. Yes, absolutely. I was
yeah,
just saying I wasn't deliberately not doing it to make her go through something.
yeah.
I was just understanding that I couldn't.
Right,
So
right,
that
right. Yeah, yeah,
lends itself for me trusting everything that happens, that kind of thing.
yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And I think kids understand that as long as you help in whatever way you can, you know what I mean, they'll appreciate that.
Yeah.
Um, I remember when I was trying to start my first business, probably
Hmm.
like back in the early 2000s. I called my mother up and I asked if she could lend me a couple $1,000s. She was like, "Well, what you need
Hmm.
the money for?" I said, "Well, I
Hmm.
want to start a carpet cleaning business." And she
Hmm.
said, "Oh, okay." She said, "Well, she said, no, I'm thinking I don't think I'm gonna give you the money. I'm gonna lend you the money for carpet cleaning." She said, "Just
Hmm.
go ahead and she said, that's your dream." She said, "You go ahead and you make that happen for yourself." Now,
Hmm.
at the time, I resented. You know what I mean? I was like, "Here I
Hmm.
am. I'm trying to do something positive for myself, and you're not even going to assist me."
Hmm.
But the thing is, it worked out. It worked out better for me because the lessons that I learned along the
Right.
way, like
Right.
if she had given me that $2,000 that I wanted to borrow, I would have blew it anyway in learning how to do that and learning how to run that kind of business. I realized that
Gotcha.
after I was already in. So it wouldn't
I
the
get that.
$2,000 that I was trying to borrow really wouldn't have, it just would have got blown, you know,
Yeah.
I just would have blew it. And I
Hmm.
found and another reason why I found that out, I had a
Hmm.
nephew that wanted to start a trucking business and he
Hmm.
needed $5,000 to for a down payment on a truck. So
Hmm.
I told him I would lend him the $5,000. I lent him the $5,000, and in less than a couple weeks, he did something with the money and wound up not even starting the trucking business. So
Hmm.
I was like, yeah, now I see why. Sometimes you got to let people go out and strike out on their own, and and make, if it's
Hmm.
their dream and they want it bad enough, they'll make it happen for themselves.
I'll make that happen.
So,
Yeah.
yeah, but he blew that $5,000 and in
Yeah.
less than a couple weeks.
Right.
All right. So what time said my pops? Let me see. My pops' father always said, "The kids don't run the house. We live in a different world today. Some kids don't get it until they get out of prison and realize how much their parents was trying to help." And so, yeah, sometimes we don't learn the lessons right away. We learn lessons after we go through something,
Hmm.
and at you know after we go through something, and then we can look back and see where the lesson was.
Hmm.
So, but I always, and when I talk to my daughter about listening to parents and following the lead, and having mentors, I tell her that when you think about Michael Jordan, I always use sports analogies. But when you think about Michael Jordan, Michael Jackson, who else? Tiger Woods, all them, Venus and Serena Williams, all these great entertainers and athletes, they have they listen to their parents, and they not only do they listen to their parents, but they listen to their parents. They had exceptionally well compared to like a lot of other kids, and I think that contributes to their success because of the way that they listen to their, what I mean, the way they listen to and respond to their parents. Michael Jordan and Tiger Woods, they was really close to their father. So was Michael Jackson. Had some issues with him and his father, but as Venus and Serena, they really listen to their father. And I think people who can take instruction well, a lot of times they do well.
Mm. Yeah. Well, in every case, there's the opposite. So I'm gonna
Huh?
leave it at that. With
You
every
said
case, there's the opposite.
No, what's the
Yeah, yeah,
opposite?
yeah, yeah. I mean, it's people that succeed at a high level that rebel against, their parents. You know, and
Yeah,
they wind up yeah, because they have something that's driving them internally, and no
yeah,
one can seem to understand it. You know what I mean? And they just have to live that out. You know what I mean? So for every case, there's the opposite. That's all I'm saying. So that was the right situation for Michael, Tiger, some of these people, but
yeah,
I just don't believe there's a one particular blueprint that creates greatness. I think greatness is, it's what you tap into in terms of
yeah,
yourself. It's inside of you. Yeah. And I think different things make you tap into it. So his
yeah,
parents, Michael Jordan's or Serena, their parents was part of that process of them tapping into their who they are. But
mm-hmm,
it's people that don't have parents, like Allen Iverson. He didn't have his father. His mother was very supportive, but
mm-hmm,
she was saying, "Oh, he got in trouble." You know what I'm saying? But
yeah,
circumstances kind of helped him find his way. You
mm-hmm,
know what I mean? And
yeah,
it's
yeah,
just different situations. So
yeah,
yeah,
yeah. So
it's interesting though.
what Tom said,
Mhm.
let me say, Tom said, Urban, you have to help yourself before getting help. Family don't owe you anything. You owe
I
yourself
agree.
to work harder. Failure isn't always a bad thing, and that's what I realized. You know what I mean? Like
Well,
when my mother told me no, she wasn't gonna give me that money to start the business. You know what I mean? I was kind of pissed off, but
absolutely.
like
Mhm.
like she said, that was my dream, and that was
Right,
for me to make it happen. She might have
right,
seen something in me. She might have
right.
seen something in me that said that told her to let me, strike out on my own and go ahead and make it happen.
Yes,
So
yes,
yeah,
yes. And
and
in the process, I can't speak for you, but in the
uh,
process, I think you learned something that's immeasurable. You learned about
mhm,
who you are, what you capable
yeah,
of. And that's
yeah,
still an ongoing process as we live life, but you're right, failure isn't a bad thing. To me, I know he says not always, and I agree with Tom, but I feel like it's never one. It's just
yeah,
part of a process. Yeah,
hmm, yeah. I
yeah.
mean, if you don't let it stop you or deter you, then yeah,
Mhm,
it's I
mhm,
think it is part of a process. I would agree
mhm,
with that in my opinion too. But
mhm.
I think the whole trick of it is like knowing when to step in and when to kind of like let go and trust the process, I or maybe I
I
guess
don't
it
think
depends
I
on
don't
like
think
how far along.
I don't think we have to know when. I think the circumstances and instinctive and what you do in that moment is what you do in that moment. I think the moment is going to reveal what you do. Like, so you're going to get a sense of I need to step in, or you're going to get a sense of I need to fall back. I don't think you have to spend time trying to figure it out. It'll hit
Yeah,
you in the moment. It will hit you in the moment what to do, because you're going to get a sense of urgency or a sense of I need to. To me, that's
hmm,
the process at work.
yeah,
That's bigger than us. Yeah, yeah.
yeah, man. I think so. So I guess
Mhm.
I mean, you're not always gonna make the right decision as far as like when to step in, when not to step in. It's gonna be like a trial and
Well,
error.
let me ask you a question. What is you basing the right decision on? You basing it on the outcome, right?
Right, yeah.
So what are you
Right.
basing on? So what is the outcome? So the outcomes and is see I don't know how to say this, but the outcomes is not determining the outcomes in this society we live in is not the determining factor of succeeding or failing.
Hmm.
This is how we view things. We view things in this society as that. Like, so, you know, um, if a person don't, you know, become a doctor and they went to school to be a doctor, and oh, you failed. You didn't fail. That wasn't your path. That path led you to your real path. Or,
Mm,
something, you know what I'm saying? So,
yeah,
and the outcomes are forever ongoing,
yeah,
so that's just how I see that, but yeah.
yeah.
So I don't think it's a wrong or right. Whatever you do in that moment is what you were supposed to do. That's
Right,
how I
right,
see
yeah,
it,
yeah.
you know.
So, what time say? I love my failures, yes, Urban, more than two, but it showed me that I could get it on my own. Let me see.
Yes,
I'm glad my sons, especially my son, seeing me go through some of the things like that and still
yes,
being there for
yes,
them. Yeah, I mean,
yes. I
that's
salute
like,
that. I salute you,
yeah,
bro.
yeah, no doubt. Like for your
Mhm,
kids to be able to witness that process, that's a
mhm,
lesson in itself because it
mhm,
just teaches them resilience. It teaches them patience. It showed them how to
mhm,
like overcome obstacles,
mhm,
and that's what I mean. That's one thing about like when I started my business. I think my kids, they wasn't real young, and so they got to
mhm,
see the whole process of me starting my business and growing the business and stuff like that. And so yeah, that's that's good for kids to be a part of that process, to witness that process. Because
mhm,
sometimes depending on what environment a kid grow up in, like they don't get to see stuff like that unless they fortunate enough to go to school or something and then get a mentor. But if you have your parents at home, uh, or somebody who can show you how to do things, things like that, and
mhm,
that's a good process.
mhm.
And you're right. Failure is not a bad thing at all as long as you learn from it and you keep going. You know, and like you said,
Yeah.
it may lead you to something else, something different.
Mhm,
But
mhm,
if you quit, you'll never know what that something different could be.
mhm.
So you definitely
Yeah.
want to, But I think that's a good, that was a good statement right there, though, because
Mhm,
it's good for kids to witness those kind of, those kind of things, especially in their parents or their
mhm.
father. Yeah,
No doubt. No doubt. Yep. Yeah. Yep.
the
Yeah.
so 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 in your opinion, so you say you wouldn't do anything different as far as like when it came to like raising your kids?
Nothing.
Yeah.
I wouldn't do. Now, let me clarify this. Because if I go back,
Hmm.
I'm the same person. But if I go back with what I know now,
Hmm.
right?
Right.
If I go back with what I know now, holding on to what I know now, because sometimes, all right. So there's two different things here. I can go back
Hmm.
as this, as this aspect of myself, right? Which is gonna
Hmm.
have me perceiving things different, right?
Right.
And then I'll make different decisions. But if I could go back holding on to what I know, I wouldn't change anything because I know all those things is needed
Hmm.
for me to be what I am. You understand what I mean? So,
Yeah.
and knowing what I know about my daughter, all those things are needed for her to come to this right now. When she texted me the other day, her vibration was so high, she was so excited about life, and she discovered something about herself. That's it. That's the real goal. It ain't the IT shit. That's great for her.
Yeah.
I love that she's doing that. But the real treasure is she learned something about herself. When you really start understanding about self, it takes you beyond all these medial tasks that we
Mm.
deem so insurmountable. This shit is nothing when we really understand who we are. So she
Yeah.
learned a little bit about herself, and I wouldn't take anything away. You
Mm.
know? Yeah,
Yeah. All right. So what time
yeah.
say you should never let your failure stop you loving your kids that can still depend on pops for anything, especially leadership, to give to their family. Yeah, that's true. I mean, that's another good statement that I can agree with. All good lessons, man. I think, as you know, I always felt like it's important to have, like male role models to go along with the female role models, that we have in our lives. It's important to have those male role models too. But yeah, because
Yeah.
I think. Go ahead.
No, you go ahead.
Now, I was just gonna say that I think that like leadership looks different coming from a man than it, in my opinion, than it do a woman, especially to a male child, because we can identify with that a little bit more so coming from a male than we can from a female.
And with role models and things of this nature, like when you really become a leader, or you really ascend to an understanding, you understand that um, you encourage people to trust themselves. I
Mhm.
remember Eddie Murphy was being interviewed on TV show, right? And she said, and the girl asked Eddie what advice would he give up and coming comedians and people wanted to get in the movies and stuff. And Eddie Murphy said, I wouldn't give them no advice. The only advice
Yeah.
I would give them is to trust what's going on inside of them. There is no blueprint. Sometimes being a mentor and a role model, we try to force these kids or make these kids conform to an idea we think is going to
Mhm.
render certain results. I just want people to understand that who they are renders results. So my
Mhm.
encouragement would be to support them in trusting themselves, not
Mhm.
do it my way. You know what I mean? I'm not big on do it my way. You know what I'm saying? I want
Right,
you to
right.
talk. I want to get inside of you and want to know what's going on innately inside of you so I can support you in that. I don't want you to do it my way because my way may not be your way. You know what
Right,
I'm
right.
saying? So yeah, and I just think I just know the most important thing we could ever discover is the power that we have. That's the
Mhm.
important thing because that changes life completely. That changes the whole experience. It
Yeah.
eliminates fears, it eliminates doubts, it eliminates stress, it eliminates all these things. So, that's my thing. And
Yeah.
it's yeah.
I
And
do agree
sometimes
that
mhm,
a lot of times, in most cases, we don't, like, other people recognize our power more so than we do. You know what I mean? Sometimes we don't recognize our own power or potential. And other people, they recognize it a little bit
mhm,
more than we do in a lot of cases, especially people outside of
mm,
our community, you know.
mm, mm.
Uh,
Yeah. Yeah,
your
well,
power and your worth.
that's another situation. Yeah.
Yeah.
Actually your value is immeasurable.
Yeah.
People always say that your worth. Well, you can't tell me my worth because it has no number.
Right. Yeah, that's true. That's true.
Yeah, yeah,
And
yeah,
yeah, but
yeah,
even though it's
yeah,
immeasurable, we still they still put a price on it. Like, as far as like what we get, like at work, you know what I mean? It gets uh
yeah,
they put a price on as far as like the work you do.
yeah.
You get people charged by the hour, they charge by the job,
Right,
and then
right.
the more experience you gain, sometimes you'll realize that you can make more than that.
Hmm.
Essentially you're worth more than that. So yeah,
Hmm. Right.
um,
So yeah, we partner with those things because we haven't come into a full understanding of our power. So we'll partner with that and we'll allow that exchange. We'll do business with that.
yeah,
So, I agree with that. But I'm just
yeah,
saying, once you really know, it really ain't no number,
yeah. That's
you know?
yeah, yeah. All right. So it
Yeah.
says, I remember that I don't believe in role models, your parents and grandparents.
Hmm.
Yeah, I mean, as far as like looking to entertainers and people outside of, uh, looking at people on like superstars and stuff like that, yeah, people should look to them to be role models and stuff. But sometimes people don't have no other choice because that's all they see. You know, depending on what their environment
Mhm.
that they coming from, they may not have no other positive person, no other influence. You know, so, so that could be
Yeah,
a you know, depending on their environment, what they
yeah.
coming from.
The beautiful thing about life, and that whole thing about role model, I understand modeling yourself after something, but I
Hmm.
think it's more about modeling yourself after the understanding that that person had in believing in themselves. So
Yeah.
you know what I'm saying? So I think that we draw inspiration from people
Hmm.
as
Yeah.
opposed to, you know what I mean? And I think you can find inspiration in everything in life, so it's just a matter of changing our mindset or understanding a different perspective on things. Like inspiration is everywhere. And once you're able to see that, we don't reduce ourselves to these ideas that we need role models, or if this person not in my life, then I can't do that, or I didn't have a father, or I don't have a mother, my mother this, my mother that, my school system's bad, society's messed up, the ghetto is this, they doing this to us, they doing that to us. When you really understand, you can draw inspiration from everything out of life. You get out of this idea of a victim's mentality, and you're not looking for dependency to develop something or
Hmm.
to achieve something that you desire to achieve. You draw inspiration from life around you, and then
Right.
you
Right.
just push through. You know what I mean?
Yeah, I can
Yeah,
agree with that. Yeah.
yeah.
So all right, so let me ask you this before we get out of here.
Hmm.
Um so like what is your overall advice then? So just you would say just go ahead and like just trust the process?
Trust the process. And try to understand self. And when I say about understanding self, is more and more trust your first instincts. The
Mm-hmm.
things that hit you instinctively, trust it. Trust your internal, trust your intuition, trust your insight. Prime example, Terrence Howard right now. I told you the other day, I text you, I was like, I'm stuck on this guy's address to Oxford and some of the things he's been presenting. It
Yeah.
takes a lot of courage to trust your insight because it's going to take you, sometimes it may push back against conventional things, and people are going to deem you or ostracize you or deem you crazy and stuff like this. But Terrence Howard trusts what's going on inside of him, and now he's revealing things that has us questioning conventional wisdom in terms of certain things, just like the whole idea of multiplying one by one. Conventional thinking is one, but
Mm-hmm.
he challenged that, and he's saying that's impossible. If we really talking about multiplication or multiplying something by a number, when you multiply one by itself, it's got to be two. And he's under a
Mm-hmm.
lot of criticism and stuff. He's also cracked the code in terms of the flower of life. It's a geometric pattern that great minds before, like Aristotle and Da Vinci and stuff, been trying to unlock the secret that's held inside of this. But he
Mm-hmm.
was able to do that because he stopped looking at it from a conventional way of thinking. He always was fascinated in the physics, and now he's exploring things that's having him speak in these colleges, and they're starting to really examine, what we've been taught, and that maybe there is no straight lines in the universe. Maybe everything is based on curvatures and waves, and he's just challenging so much conventional thought. And I'm just using him as an example as to say that that's my greatest advice to people. Like, it's things going on inside of you. You got to know that's from a divine place. You have those thoughts for a reason. You see those visions for a reason. They're real. You know what I'm saying? And trust that. Trust yourself, because the world is almost it already has what it has, right?
Right.
What really changes your reality in your world is you expressing you.
Mm-hmm.
When you start expressing you, You know what I'm saying? There's so much value that lies in that, and
Yeah.
that you'll be able to do for a lifetime. Yeah,
Right. Right.
I hope that was advice. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah.
I know
I
I
appreciate.
rambled on, but
No, that was good. I appreciate it. I definitely want
yeah,
to look into the like Terrence Howard. I
yeah.
want to read up on Terrence Howard
Well,
and
it's some videos out. His lecture at Harvard is out online. But are you a fan? Like, and do you like physics and metaphysics and stuff like that?
to a certain extent, yes, yeah, some of it to a certain
Okay,
extent, yeah.
okay.
All right.
I'll just say this. That was his. He was inclined in that area, even though he was an actor. He made a
Mm-hmm.
statement. He said he remembers waking up in his mother's womb, saying to himself, "Don't forget, don't forget, don't forget, don't forget."
Mm-hmm.
So he became conscious before he came out of the womb. And he feel like he said, I'm not the smartest person in the world where I figured out things other people don't figure out. He said he believed he was dealing with this and he came into this understanding in the past life. So with that being said, um, he's expressing things, and he's challenging thought and he's inclined, but what he's inclined in the physics and metaphysics is taking him back to a grand understanding that that space in between the petals of the geometric pattern, like that you have an institute, the CERN Institute, where they're trying to collide matter into each other to try to study antimatter. They think matter comes from antimatter. So he understands that in between that space, that's what it is. So what he's understanding is all of that is us. So that
Mm-hmm.
dark matter and all that stuff is just it's isolating energy that is waiting to take form, and everything is held within that. But I say that to say that you don't have to study physics. You don't have anything that you're inclined to do and is driving you eventually will take you back to the same understanding that he's come to. He just did
Mm-hmm.
it through physics. You understand?
Oh,
Some
okay.
people do it through music. Some people do it through writing. Some people do it through poetry. Some people do it through working, you know what I mean? Accounting, numbers, yeah, whatever. What you do will take you to that understanding. That's why I
Yeah.
say trust yourself. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, yeah,
That's good stuff.
yeah,
Good stuff. Yeah.
yeah,
So
yeah,
yeah, man. So let
yeah.
me I'm before we get out of here, I'm gonna read this last statement by Time. Let me say sorry,
Mhm.
your parents and grandparents who looked up to you, their advice, their wisdom. Grandfather telling me Africa is bigger than America. Uh, let me see. Why is Africa so small on the map? Knowledge is power. Yeah, I mean, yes, yeah, so it's a lot of misinformation out there, and
Mhm.
you really can't trust, like some of the information that's put out there, and then so you're right, knowledge is power, especially when you seek it yourself and don't take other people's don't take their word for or their interpretation of what things are. Just seek it yourself.
Mhm.
So
Speaking of
yeah.
Africa, I want to share this because it ties back into my point in terms of trust your own insight and don't rely on the insight of others. Africa, the real name, that's not even the real name for Africa. Africa was
Mm-hmm.
named Africa after one of its conquerors. I would say at the
Mm-hmm.
time, Google the original name of Africa. So I'm
Yeah.
saying that to say we have the power to define what life is for ourselves.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah. Good
Yeah.
stuff. Good
And
stuff.
Africa is not small on the map. Yeah, yeah, no doubt, no doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, man. I
All right,
appreciate
man.
it. I hope
Appreciate
everybody
you,
who
bro.
listen to this, you know what I mean, get something out of it, and just really just get something out of it. What I got
Mhm.
out of it is just that people we have to just like you said, just trust the process and really just think for yourself.
Yeah.
Know that you have the
And support. And
yeah,
support the empowerment of the kids. Support the empowerment of the kids. Support so they can become self-reliant and self-sufficient, because that's the gateway to knowledge of self and knowing the unlimited potential and power that we have. Yeah.
right. Yeah.
Mhm.
All right, man. So with that being
Mhm.
said, man, everybody make sure
Mhm.
to like and subscribe to the channel.
Mhm.
You can go to urbanplatformfashion.com, pick up some merch. We have
Mhm.
hoodies, t-shirts, long sleeve t-shirts also, and short sleeve t-shirts. And also go check out my man Clayton, his book Trauma, My Love Letter to the World. You say you can get that on Amazon, right?
Yeah, it's on Amazon. Yep.
Oh yeah, on Amazon. Yeah,
Amazon.com.
Amazon.com.
Yep.
Definitely go check that out. And yeah, man, I appreciate the support. And
Yep.
yeah, let me see. This last statement that time got on her. Appreciate you guys, always willing to learn. 100. You learn something new every day. That's what's up. We appreciate
No
you
doubt.
too, man.
No doubt. We
Definitely,
appreciate you,
yeah,
Tom.
we appreciate
Real
you.
talk. And I salute you,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah, no doubt, man. So yeah,
Mhm.
time, but tune in. We'll be back. We're gonna do a live show Saturday and Sunday this week. So Clayton, I got a couple people. I got Yo, she said she was gonna be on. Then my sister, she said she was gonna be on. So we should have a pretty good show this weekend.
It's gonna be a link like this.
Yeah.
Okay, all right, all
Yeah,
right.
because
That's
you know my
cool.
sister is in Atlanta.
Yeah, that's cool. That's cool.
Yeah,
That's cool. That's cool.
yeah. So
Yeah.
we'll be on virtual and everything. So
Okay.
yeah, so
That's
it'll be
cool.
us four.
Hmm. Okay.
But yeah, man. Um, so yeah, make sure to like and subscribe. Like I said, subscribe. And with that being
Hmm.
said, we out and we'll see y'all on the next episode. Peace.